Good day and welcome to this RetailTribe webinar that I'm going to race through and try and complete inside 20 minutes. I hope it's going to provoke an awful lot of thought for you. The subject is engagement, and I'd really like to try and change the way we approach customers using engagement. My name is Ian James. I'm the Chief Executive of RetailTribe, founder. I've worked in the industry for the last 6 or 7 years. I am incredibly passionate about revenue. It's my background, driving revenue, driving more golf, driving more participation, and I hope as we get to the end of this presentation and webinar, you'll feel, here's some ideas I can take away and work with at my facility. I'm going to start this webinar with the statement and belief that the PGA professional should be the CEO of the golf club. Yes, the CEO of the golf club. Now, I know you're incredulous. If you're a manager watching this, I'm going to ask you not to close down, wait to the end. If you're a PGA professional, possibly don't get ahead of yourself, because the state we're in at the moment is the PGA professional is probably the most undervalued resource in our industry. Why do I say that? Because wherever I go, when I meet ownership groups or I meet managers, one of the lines I'll hear is, don't talk to me about golf coaches. They're the guys lining their own pockets using my customers. It's a complete misunderstanding of the value of just a golf coach, never mind a PGA professional. Now, this webinar is not about golf coaches, but this is a good place to start because I'm incredulous at that. Our research of 8 golf clubs in South Texas, country clubs, tells us that when a person is in a coaching program, they'll spend 65% more on F&B or food and beverage. That's not lining their own pocket. That's driving more people to spend more money on a burger, a beer, wine, a sandwich, whatever it might be. Should that surprise us? If they're down for a lesson or a practice session, it's only 30, 45, 60 minutes. That gives them time to have their lunch or their breakfast or a snack. Did you know that, and does it surprise you, that if somebody's in a coaching program, after they finished and during the coaching program, they actually play more golf? Why would that surprise us if the point of the coaching program is to drive better golf? People will have more fun, therefore they'll want to play more. They'll even go and see, how's it working? So 20% more golf, it surprised me that it was that high, but that's a great figure. 100% of golfers at those clubs who played with or were coached by the professional staff in 2013 renewed their membership in 2014. Wow, golf coaches are great for retention. And by the way, a lesson taker will spend 79% more in the shop on retail any year they participate in coaching. Does that surprise us? You know, if you've got a good coach, he's going to point out that the equipment's maybe a bit aged. We can possibly find an equipment solution to the problem. If somebody's playing more golf, by the way, remember the 20% more golf, that means there's more balls, tees, and other consumables being bought as well. If you've got a coach working with a golfer, that's creating a greater connection to the golf club. So all round here, it seems to me that we have a situation where golf coaches are making an accidental impact on revenue, and really quite a substantial one. But the fact is, how many club managers know these facts? I could argue how many directors of instruction know these facts, or even track the round and revenue impact their students make. Coaching is actually the most poorly appreciated and valued revenue tool for our industry. Now, I reiterate, this is not about coaching, but what it does highlight is we've not connected the dots. So the coach working with the golfer, what's the impact for the golf club? That whole relationship we see too often as just coach and golfer. But actually, part of the coach's role surely is to help the golfer's relationship with the golf club, or the golf club's relationship with the golfer. Yes, in coaching this customer value, we're trying to bring dreams to life, create better golf, more social connections, create more fulfillment for the golfer as a coach. Absolutely. But there's also value to the operation. You're there to try and create a more activated golfer, greater wallet share of the golfer for the facility, and more loyalty, spending more time at the facility. Yes, you're going to be interested in, why do you play golf? Why have you invested in coaching? What dream can I fulfill for you? That's the consumer value. But surely every lesson should end with, are you booked in for your next round? Are you playing in the next event? Can I introduce you to some people I think you might enjoy playing golf with? Those are questions every coach should be engaged with in trying to find how they connect the golfer's why with them playing more golf. A fitting is absolutely no different. There's value to the customer. It's an engagement. It's an opportunity to spend time with that customer. And yes, in the fitting process, you're looking to improve the equipment so they play better golf, but it's also the opportunity to learn about why that golfer plays golf and how you can get them to be more committed to the game and more committed to the facility. So if that's so obvious, and at that point I'm hoping, wow, that is really quite obvious, how's engagement come to be so undervalued? In fact, the least understood step in the whole business development process. And the reason is, I think, we don't understand the retail marketing model. Now, this is a standard model. It works in every industry. Every brand uses it. Every retailer uses it. They know they have to reach out and engage with, inspire customers to come and touch, feel their product, service, engage with their product or service. Once they've got them in that engagement, they know they can convert them into a customer and then hopefully retain them. It doesn't matter whether it's Apple, Audi, whoever, even diapers or nappies, depending on which country you're in. The brands are working to inspire customers to engage with their product to convert them into customers. Now in golf this has been working. We might think that people say it doesn't apply to golf, but actually the consumers had their own model working. Originally, membership of a golf club or taking up golf was about social status in your community. People aspired, the doctor, lawyer, the dentist, the entrepreneur wanted to try and become a member of the golf club because that was some recognition of a place of arrival in your community. Now that changed in the 60s with Arnold Palmer, Jack Nicklaus, Gary Player if you're South African, Bob Charles if you're New Zealander, Peter Thompson in Australia, and eventually Tony Jacklin in the United Kingdom. And using television, they brought the game to a much broader audience. And what we had was an army of people who then wanted to actually take up the game, try it. And suddenly we had so many numbers, we were in a situation that rather than quietly and discreetly inviting people to join a golf club, we had waiting lists and applications, and our job was to try and keep out the wrong sort of person. So engagement's been happening. Our engagement is let's process the application. Our engagement is let's validate this person's of good standing. Our conversion is let's collect the money. Our retention is that we'll run events so they come to the facility. And through all of this, we'll apply the rules. And if we can apply the rules, then people will follow the rules. And if they don't follow the rules, they will leave. But that doesn't matter because we've got a waiting list of golfers to join us. But that's all changed. And I'm not here to sort of just tell you why it all changed, but the facts are the world has changed. Time is far more precious to people, and we find ourselves in a situation where the number of people getting into the game who we gain each year is now less than the yellow line, those we're losing. We're leaking numbers. And we've reached a stage where many people do not have waiting lists. In many countries, a thing of the past. Joining fees, thing of the past in many countries. And that's a consequence of less people wanting to play the game. In fact, now our response to that appears to me to be all over the globe. Well, we'll try and make our service as great as it can be, or our golf facility as great as it can be, so we become a top-ranked facility. We are open for business and we can wait for customers to roll up. But that's not good enough. We have to work so much harder at retaining our current golfers. We have to work at this. It's not enough to run events. Churn is too high. We have to reduce the losses. We have to get much better moving golfers up a pathway through the introduction to the game, occasional, social, to the point where they become avid and regular. A good thing to do would be to find those who've left, reclaim them. There are so many ex-golfers. And when we do get people to join the game, we acquire them, let's try and work much harder at getting them through that introduction, that difficult phase, so they can become a regular recreational golfer at least. Revenue needs more priority. We must place more focus on revenue. We cannot cost cut ourselves to a better industry. we'll cost cut ourselves to extinction. We need to look at this model and say, how do we use this model ourselves proactively to drive our industry? And I'm going to focus on engagement in this webinar, not the whole model, because we have so much opportunity, because we have so much engagement. If only we could use it as a means to an end, where the end is more golfers playing golf more often. Now, if you look at other companies and the way they use engagement, if you walk into an Apple store, the first thing the greeter wants to do is to get you face to face with their genius. And the role of that genius is to engage with you and bring the product to life, to excite you. If you're not yet a customer, to find out what you want from the product and to show you how that product can deliver it. If you're currently a customer and unsure about something, it's their job to find how that's impacting you and to make sure you gain understanding. They know that's the way to drive numbers, to create those engagements. And you've seen other industries around the tech world start to follow. But in golf, that's still the vision that most golfers have of their pro shop, that people are behind counters waiting to serve. Now, I'm not knocking the scale of service. Service is very important. What I am saying is we have to reach out and engage. We have to put ourselves in positions where we are having contact with as many golfers as possible each week and looking to understand them, learn more about them, and actually inspire them to take the next step in their growth. You are the genius at work. If you're a PGA professional, you are our equivalent to that Apple genius. You are the most powerful marketing tool this industry has, and it's time for us to use you. Engagement is a means to an end. The end is more golfers playing golf more often, and we see the results. Around the world, I see the results, but I'm just going to pick the United Kingdom here, and these are not all our customers at RetailTribe, but Tim Hall, Ross on Y, transformed that golf club because he's created an engagement calendar. Matthew Gillingham, 54 new women who are members in the last 2 years because he created clinics to engage with golfers and get them introduced to the golf club, introduction to possibly becoming a member, and now we have 54 new members. Peter Myers quite literally saved Hainsworth Park, 135 new members in 13 months by creating engagement activities. And even at the most prestigious, so Stuart Collier at Stoke Park, he has created a real buzz at his golf club of engagement. So the value the members feel they get from being a member of Stoke Park, which is no cheap penny, is enormous because of the work that Stuart does. Engagement is a means to an end. And you can apply that even if you come back down to equipment. Your Titleist Vokey wedges are beautiful on the rack, exquisite. But how much more powerful is it if you can get golfers with those wedges in their hands doing something, testing a skill? If you run a chip for charity event or a splash for cash event where you get to check how their technique is with their current wedge, check over their current wedge, even look at the numbers if you can get a launch monitor there for this event, and then actually give them a new wedge, give them a little bit of technique advice. How many more wedges do you think you're going to sell? There is so many of those sorts of engagements you can create. 10-yard challenge. You want to sell drivers? 10-yard challenge. Golfers come and spend 10, 15 minutes with you, and the challenge is you can add 10 yards to their tee shot. We don't need another demo day. 10-yard challenge. Even events. When we run events, we're getting people to engage with the product. But we should do more than just leave them to engage with the product. So if you look at a Satakoi and the way they use their opening par 3 event for the season, runs in April, coincides with the Masters, great event, but this has real revenue objectives. The general manager gives the professionals a list of 100 names he wants booked in. Before they make this open, their job is to ring and get as many of those golfers booked in as possible. Now those 100 names are the occasionals from last year who he or she has identified as being at risk. For the event, the course setup is made to be the easiest par 3 it can be, so 9 holes, no hole longer than 150 yards. And as each golfer plays the event, As they come off, they're greeted at their 9th or the 18th green. They run, it's so full, they run both 9s. And there's a professional there with marketing objectives. They want to book 75% of the golfers in for their next 18 holes immediately. They want to book 50% into the next club event. And they want to get as many of those occasionals as possible into coaching. Now that's using an event to get a result. So the event is an engagement. We don't just accidentally let the result happen. Satakoi make the event happen. Ryan Fitzpatrick knows with the changes in time, evenings, he's competing with Jim. So he's created fun events for a Tuesday evening that in 2015 added $52,000 to their food and beverage. But it also created a lot of fun for a lot of golfers. Ryan was creating more value for the golfers and improving retention, improving rounds, improving food and beverage. Well done, Ryan Fitzpatrick. There's so many fun events you can create. You don't just have to wait for your normal schedule of 18 holes, Stableford or stroke play or whatever it is, rounds. You can create so much fun at your golf club. And I suggest you do, by the way, because generationally we're getting more compressed for time in the younger generations and we want to have more fun quicker. And the application process, when people apply for golf, that's even an engagement you can exploit. You can have the person apply and deal with it in a normal standard way, or you can have them come and play 9 holes with your pro. After 9 holes with your pro, you are 400% more likely to convert a person into somebody paying a check. Because remember, in many parts of the world now we're desperately fighting for members. Rather than a waiting list, you're 400% more likely to convert the applicant into a check. And why is that a surprise? In 9 holes, so 2 hours, your pro is going to find out why the golfer plays golf. The golfer at the end is going to believe that your club, your professional, knows what they want out of their golf club and is therefore much more likely to deliver it. It's also a contact that's going to help them have more fun at the golf club. Quickest way to improve your revenue, reduce your losses. Again, easy way to reduce your losses is have the general manager give you a sheet each month, 20 names. Your job to get at least 12 of them into an accompany play with you. If it's 9 or 18 holes, I'm not here to tell you which it should be, but accompany play. And then you've got that relationship, maintain that relationship with those people. At the end of the year, track how many were retained, how many weren't. You are going to be very surprised. The people who are occasional, having their professional show interest in them, gives you the opportunity to inspire them to become more regular at the golf club. Actually, engagement rules all. And I started out this with a coaching example, but accompany plays, supervised practice, equipment fittings, technique assessments, fun performance events, skills challenges, those are all ways to engage with golfers, as is walking up and down the range or meeting somebody in a bar. But these are the key engagements we should be looking to create at golf clubs. Remember, engagement is a means to an end. So what should you do? If you've bought into this message, what should you do? Well, I'd like to think you're going to make engagement a priority. And now you're going to say, whoa, I need to actually treat engagement as a very important part of my team's work each week. You need your staff to have engagement objectives as they go into each week. So starting, if this is Monday, this week, what are my objectives for engagement? How many golfers am I trying to engage with? Are there any specific ones I'm trying to engage with? So your weekly team review should also include who did they engage with last week and celebrate successes. If there's somebody you've been battling to get down to the club, celebrate the success. If there's somebody who's gone through a coaching program who's achieved something great, celebrate the success. If you had two applicants converted to members, celebrate the success. Celebrate the outcome of the engagements. And what you could do is have each professional actually compile as the week goes on. Name of the golfer that they've engaged with, what activity it was, and what time period. And that gives you the opportunity for the end of the month to start reporting to your management the numbers of golfers you engaged with. And at that point, I can promise you, for a general manager, that starts to go, wow, my pro is actually in contact with an awful lot of people. They are front and center of our operation. And if we're having conversations with them about company play and the 18 were all people who haven't played very often, we're trying to make sure they're going to be retained, it's going to open the mind of the manager to the power of engagement. And And is it much harder, much more complicated to have a list of your members of your country club and actually in each week tick off which ones you have engaged with, and note, as you would do on here, the Drexlers, Martin and Philippa, nobody's engaged with them in the first 6 weeks of this quarter, so let's make sure we're doing that in the second 6 weeks of this quarter. Create an engagement plan. Have a plan. Twice a month. Have a skills challenge or a fun event. Make sure you have the events on the calendar every month targeting different golfers. Don't just make this about your core, avid, regular, committed, competitive males. Make sure you're giving opportunity for everybody in the golf club to have some fun. And make accompanied play important. That should be a standard part of any engagement plan. We need you using that to increase the number of golfers who engage with you. It's madness doing what we have been doing. I used an example from the United States as statistics earlier. This is the United Kingdom. Gone from 3.9 million to 3.3 million golfers. We can't carry on doing what we've been doing. We need to do something different. We need to make sure we're not going to carry on losing golfers at that rate, or our industry is going to be in serious trouble. We have to change. We can ignore what's happening and do what we did yesterday, but then we're in for trouble. What we can decide to do is chart a new path. And if you create a new path that involves engagement, you'll create much more participation and more revenue with this model. There's a growing group of professionals around the world who are now actually coming front of counter and seeing engagement as core to their week every week. Let's grow the numbers for golf. Let's lead the industry to a place where engagement is the most important thing we do. Now, I started out this presentation to say I thought the golf professional should be the CEO. I stand by that. The golf professional is the Chief Engagement Officer at the golf club. Thank you very much. I hope that was useful. You can go to our website at www.retailtribe.com or contact me, Ian James, at ianjames@retailtribe.com if you'd like to continue the conversation. Thank you and have a great day.